How's it going, everybody? I seem to have forgotten my hat in this video. Consider this a special episode. The first time possibly you've seen me without my hat on for an entire video. Okay, moving away from that, we're talking about Gary Carmine today. Another Carmine, pretty much continuing off the theme of going through all the Carmine siblings, all the relatives and everybody that was been introduced in Gears of War. We've got Gary right now, and then next up we will have Fredo, and then I have one more video planned out. I'm going to leave that as pretty much a surprise on what the video is going to be about involving the Carmines. But we're almost done with the Carmines. Right now, Gary Carmine introduced Gears of War 4. Let's see what we can see, pretty much whatever we can talk about involving Gary. Alright, so the reason I say what we can figure out about Gary is because, aside from Fredo, Gary is probably the least developed of all the Carmines. And that really sucked because of the fact that, normally I'd say it would be Anthony is the least aside from Fredo, but as the games went on, you kind of got a little more from Anthony in the background. Like, in multiplayer, you learn a few more things about him. For instance, I think he was the sniper that was shown in, the Gears of War 4 trailer for, when the Carmines were introduced in. I think he was the sniper, but other than that, you also got a feeling of, how he was in the first game with, the Sergeant Phoenix and how he looked at everything. The dream sequence on how, Marcus felt still, that was a lingering thing in his head about Anthony and Ben. You still got a little bit of Anthony, the feelings the others had towards him, or, a little bit more about him as things went on. You don't really get that with Gary. You don't get a lot of that at all with Gary. He's not even mentioned at all in the 5th game. In Gears 5, he's not even mentioned. I don't think a single thing is talked about when it comes to Gary in Gears 5. Yeah, Gary, there's stuff to talk about with Gary, though. It's pretty easy enough to make a video about him. It's just there's not a lot. So let's start with the beginning with Gary. Okay, so we are first introduced to Gary when pretty much JD, Del, Kate, they all make it back to the Outsider camp. They all go back there, and pretty much, you meet Kate and everything. Well, you already meet Kate. You meet her mother, Raina. You meet Raina there, and you're pretty much talking about, just Jin, getting the fabricator, all that fun stuff. She ends up having a conversation with Jin when she drops one of her DBs, the one that have the hologram head on them, pretty much. The screen's there, and then up comes Jin's face, and she's talking through the DB. Raina straight up kills the thing after having a conversation, and she says, okay, let's get this going. Let's fortify some defenses and get ready. And a Kestrel goes flying down. Turns out, you hear pretty much Carmine. You learn that Gary Carmine is introduced at that point, and he's the one that shot it down. He's the one managing the, I believe it is a Troika he's rocking right there. I believe it's a Troika. It's a mounted gun, though, because the Troikas were pretty much for the Locust, but when you're salvaging weapons, the Outsiders don't care what they're using, so it could have been a Troika for all I know. He's using the Troika, and he shoots it down. He comes on down, and pretty much he's given orders from Raina on what to do, pretty much man the guns, Carmine. That's pretty much what he's told to do after a while. That's pretty much what Gary does during the extension. Not even the extension, just the main thing of Gears 4. He's rocking the minigun, just firing off and keeping defenses. He shoots down, I believe, he shoots down one of the planes later on, I believe. But later on, he does get a pod dropped on him, and he's straight up dead. And a lot of people like to sit down and say, well, did he die or not? Because we never see the body. We never really see, anything. We just see the pod hit and we see a body fly. That's all we see. We never see from Gary or hear from Gary again at all. I mean, even in the story for the game, you don't even hear his voice lines. You have to wait till multiplayer to actually hear how he sounds. For Gary Carmine, one of the Carmine family. Making him one of the only ones, story-wise for anything where we actually don't get a line from. Fredo never gets a line for anything at all because he's a reporter, but up until multiplayer, you don't hear a single thing from Gary. So the only thing we know about Gary at that point was that he was trained by Oscar. He pretty much learned his shooting, his firing, his machine gun skills, his mounted machine gun skills from Oscar. Oscar taught him. Oscar was the one who sat down with him and pretty much showed him how to be, not a soldier because he's an outsider, but how to handle a gun and how to be a soldier. Well, a soldier that's not a soldier. We can joke all we want about Oscar, especially in the fourth game when there's so much to joke about involving Oscar. I mean, let's face it, he was the comedic gag character for the fourth game. He was. They made it more serious in 5, which I found weird on how more gruff and serious his voice was with 5. And then in 4, you just have him talking like this, you know? Carmine! You know, I can't wait to do Oscar's video. That's going to be a fun video to do, because, like, the first half will be talking about him in the fourth game, and then the other half of the video will be serious, talking about him in 5, because he was a serious one in 5. But, yeah, like, you know, as much as we like to joke about Oscar, he was an actual soldier in the COG, and by the sound of it, and how much he's pretty much portrayed and talked about as a soldier back in the day, he was a decent soldier by the sound of it, you know? He at least, maybe he wasn't the greatest soldier, but he at least held his own. He was able to carry a gun well. He was a competent soldier, you know? He wasn't a red shirt that just gets killed. So yeah, he had his training through Oscar. And then we end up learning too, like, he became so competent and so well with a gun, he ended up shooting in the outsiders group, pretty much in their camp. He was shooting and training others how to shoot. He would bring them in and be like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to use a gun, how to fire correctly, because you find that note later on the wall. Carmine is pretty much teaching people how to fire, how to shoot, how to defend themselves. He's become that competent, he's training others now. So that's pretty much what we get during the story when we see him, when he's shown. Yeah, there really wasn't to go on with Gary on that one. So let's see if I can just go into some more details or trivia or a hypothesis on where he came from or how he's related. One thing to take away from Gary, though, that you won't see with any of the other Carmines, excluding Fredo, because we never see what he looks like, he doesn't wear a helmet. He doesn't. What he wears is pretty much like, a hat. I can't remember the name of him, but like what Kyle wears from South Park. He wears a pair of goggles, and then he has a bandana over his mouth. He doesn't wear a helmet, and he's the first Carmine shown not to do that. Again, we've never seen Fredo. I can't say if he does. I'm assuming he doesn't, but it's the first one we've openly seen that does not have a helmet. He pretty much rocks just like normal casual attire. He's rocking a vest, t-shirt, you know, jeans. He's not dressed as a soldier. He is not a soldier. And that really brings up the question, where did he come from, you know? What brought him here? How was he found and brought in? Or why did he go there? What happened? We're never given any of that. We're not given a single thing as to why, how he ended up there, or anything. We're not. All we can assume is trying to figure out where he falls in the family tree. And the best I've seen doing my research on Gary for today and yesterday when I was looking into all this and getting info was that the conclusion is he's possibly Clayton's son. He's possibly Clay's boy. I wish he wasn't, if it turns out he was, because I feel like Clay's son would need more of like an impact in the story, because Clay is such a badass. I would like if his son was, well, don't get me wrong, Gary was a badass in his own right, but I want him to have a character that for a son that's more in the story, more than Lizzie was, about as much as Ben even. I'd be fine if there was a character that was his son that was in the story as much as Ben. But I mean, it really does look like he's possibly Clay's son. He's got Grub Killer on the back of his jacket. He's got Clay's helmet on his arm. I mean, it really is pointing towards he's Clay's son. And I can't really find much of an argument for it. I mean, the dates match up for age, you know, him, if he was his son when he was born, you know, it matches up with everything, but you really have to wonder, how did he end up there if he's Clay's son? Because Clay is a tried and true gear. He is. All Carmines join the military. When they come of age, they join. Who knows? Maybe Gary was a soldier. He didn't like how things were going and he left. It could have been that. You know, it's really hard to figure out because by his voice lines, even in multiplayer, he is a tried and true Carmine. He truly does, like, love his family's name and everything. There's a voice line he has that even says, this is for all the Carmines everywhere. You know, he's a Carmine. He takes the name up with pride that he's a Carmine, you know? But, I don't know, maybe he didn't like the traditions. Like, he still loved his family, but he didn't want to be a part of that, you know? Maybe he was an outcast and a misfit and he just left and ran away one day. Because Clay Clay's a big, brutish kind of guy, but he's still a loving guy. Even with Lizzie, he's just like, oh, hey, thought you didn't make, he's still a caring individual. He's a gruff SOB, but he's caring, I would really hate to see that, like, Clay was so disappointed in his son for not wanting to join or, like, leaving. He just said, leave, never come back, I disown you. I would hate that. It doesn't seem like Clay to do that. So I'm going to hypothesize, yes, it's probably his son, but I don't know the story that would cause that. It could be Clay's son, because the only other person we have from that generation in that age group is Lizzie, and that's not Clay's son. We already learned that. It could be Dee's kid. It probably is Dee's kid for Lizzie, but like, I don't know. Maybe they're both Dee's kids, and they just both got unlucky and they both died. I don't know. It could be that too. But it's mainly looking like it's Clay's kid was Gary, Lizzie is Dee's kid, and that's the best I can go with. I mean, other than that, the reason I think he is dead too, and everyone's just like, we don't know if he died or not, I'm pretty sure he's dead. If you look at the video, he goes flying off, we never see him again, but, later on he gets a zombie skin. Anthony's got a zombie skin, Ben's got a zombie skin, Gary's got a zombie skin. Now, I don't take multiplayer to mean a lot. I don't, they can throw whatever they want in multiplayer, doesn't mean that's true in the story. But, he's got a zombie skin. The other Carmines have a zombie skin. I think they're kind of just saying, without outright saying it, Gary's dead. I think he's probably dead. I hate that he's dead. I thought he was an okay character, especially when you get his voice lines in multiplayer, but yeah, there's a good chance he's dead. That's really Gary. There's nothing else to really go by, Like, the different thing he has on his face instead of a helmet, the tattoos, Grub Killer on his shirt, where he came from, the Outsider camp, he was trained by Oscar. There's not much to go on with Gary. He's my buddy Dastardly245. Daz it's one of his favorite characters to play multiplayer. That's something more I can add onto this. That's like the best I can do. So yeah, that's gonna end Gary's video. Like, I wish I had more. I wish I would have saved some of the bigger guys for the end of this video series. Maybe kept like Clay towards the end, like some people wanted, or even throw Ben in at the end since there was a lot to go with there. But Fredo in the last video I got. So thank you guys for watching this one at least. Gary Carmine, a great outsider. Up until he died, even before the swarm got a hold of him. So, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all this. We have a Patreon, we have a store, we have all that good stuff. You guys have a great one, and I will see you next time. Hopefully next time I'll have my hat on me. I'll see you guys then.